The fathers, I believe, so Augustine and the guys who wrote before him, believe that Jesus takes Peter, James, and John to the top of this mountain to show them this vision, because they will need it. Peter, because he will need to pick up the pieces and lead the apostles. James, because he's going to be the first to die. And John, because he loves him so dearly. But that this is sort of it's not last meal's not the right word for it, but it was something to hold them over so that they would not fear, so they would not panic, so that they would still have hope even after his death. Now, whether or not you can find evidence that that worked in Peter, James, and John's behavior from Good Friday until Easter Sunday is secondary to the fact that that's why Jesus brought them up top of the mountain. That this was a vision that was given them so that after they would not fear. And y'all, while it's probably not appropriate for us to go asking for visions, in fact, I'm 100% certain it is not. Sometimes the Lord still grants it. I remember very clearly, especially for those of us who do any kind of ministry, education, teaching. You do your work. You do the best that you can. Not you guys, you guys are lovely. It's when we teach the little kids, you tell them something and you can't tell by the look in their eyes whether or not they've understood you. And honestly, sometimes the high school students are not really all that different. And quite honestly, when I've taught adults in the past, you never know. And this is an alarming and frustrating piece about ministry, mentoring, teaching. Anytime when you're trying to impart on another person some part of your practical wisdom something that you've accrued or learned, you look at them and go, am I making any sense to you? Do you get it? You just can't tell if this is having any impact. Again, not you guys. I know you perfectly understand everything that I'm saying. But sometimes the Lord peels back the curtain and lets you see. Lets you see. Not always, not often. I think back to a few experiences of mine. Tonight the diocesan youth rally is going on. At one point, I went to one of those when it was still at Nichols. And a young person, who I think was a high school student at the time, knew me from something at their parish. I was a seminarian. And I don't know if you've ever been known or been close with seminarians. They disappear for long periods of time. They go to the seminary and then, 6 months pass and then they show up for a day and then another 3 months pass and you see them for 2 days and then then they're with you for the whole summer or something like that. And I had interacted with her. And she ran up to me. We talked a little bit. She was she seemed super, super excited and just walked away. And the thought I had in that moment was, I didn't deserve that. That felt pretty good. To see somebody desire, especially, look, when you're in the academic environment, not a whole lot of people are excited to see you. It's just your classmates and your teachers. And again, you don't really get a whole lot of recognition from them. But for us to come back and have lay people be excited to see us is a big deal. It means a lot. But I realized in that moment that it wasn't about me. But in that moment, it was really about Jesus, to whom I was an image for her. I'm not that good. I'm nothing special. But please do not walk up to me after Mass and be like, oh, Father, you're really awesome. No, that's not what I mean. This is the result of formation. In theory, this is the way, I hope. I'd like to say that I'm a good example of formation. This is what you're supposed to get. This is what your 7 years of annual bishop's appeal is supposed to get you. Is somebody with at least some of the skills that I have. And generally, you would hope maybe even a little better. But any individual guys, besides the fact that God called him, none of us are all that. There's nothing about us that's a secret sauce. It's the Lord that makes us different. And that one little moment to see that, and I turned to, Father Bryce, not Father at the time, and I said, you see, that's a demonstration of the love of Jesus Christ that our lay faithful have. It's this one little moment. The Lord didn't need to give me that. But you know why he gave me that? Because his final exams were coming up. And I was not in a good place. As no student is when it's time for finals. But if you want it even better, that's my stupid story, right? I've never told that person. I still see her from time to time. Maybe it's time to tell her that story. Mother Teresa, there's this wonderful story about Mother Teresa. Famously, she was in darkness for 50 years. The 50 years when Mother Teresa was doing the Missionaries of Charity thing, the thing that she's famous for, the thing for which we all use her as the category of a living saint for. She didn't feel God's closeness at all during that time. And it was rough and it was hard for her. And here's a story I only heard very recently. But it's enlightening to the whole situation. She was on a retreat about 25 years into her ministry. And the retreat master is in his room, poor guy, and the Lord comes to him and says, go tell Mother I still thirst. And the priest goes, I'm not doing that. You got to make it abundantly clear that it's really you saying that and that you really want me to say that to her because it's not fair. That's a famous part of her story that she started the Missionaries of Charity because she heard Jesus say to her, I thirst. Go get the souls. My version of that. Jesus says to her, I thirst. And that means you go get the souls for me. Go get them. And imagine 25 years of darkness. And the priest is getting ready for Mass, and the nuns are buzzing around. And finally, one of them says, Father, do you need anything? And he goes, I kind of, oh, by the way, tell Mother, Jesus says he still thirsts. And in my version of this, the poor guy turns around, and there's Mother Teresa, and just like she just appeared. What else did he say? And again, poor guy has to turn to Mother Teresa and go, that's it. But I like to believe, maybe this is the case, maybe it's not. I like to believe that was the little grace that God gave her to get through the next 25 years. Look, I'm no Mother Teresa. I don't have that kind of endurance. When I think about the great darkness that she went through, my first and immediate reaction is, I don't need that, Lord. I'm good. I have the same reaction when I read about the Eucharistic miracles. There's a few of them that happened because the priest was doubting the real presence of Jesus as he was celebrating Mass, and his little host goes from straight up and down to flops over and turns into flesh. Every time I hear that story, I go, Lord, I don't need that. I'm good. I believe enough for you not to do that to me. I hear the story of, not Padre Pio. Padre Pio is a good example though, but St. John Vianney, where he would fight with the devil at night. I go, I don't need that. I would hope that you would not find me worthy for that trial. I'm for sure willing to accept everything that the Lord sends my way. I'm just not guaranteeing I'm going to do very well at it. I like to think that this one little moment, this one little grace, that was the transfiguration for Mother Teresa. And got her through the next 25 years. Imagine. Start paying attention. Look for it. The little reminders, the little love notes, the little I love yous from the Lord, they're going to come in a form that's meaningful to you. Part of your own story. Y'all, I know I say this every time we get this gospel. This is our destiny. At one day, even right now, your relationship with Jesus Christ is supposed to be like this. You see him face to face. Maybe it's not a mountaintop moment. Maybe he doesn't glow for you. I would hope not. I don't think he does that for many of us. But the face-to-face relationship with Jesus Christ, you can have that right now, because our destiny is to be with him forever. And the way he glowed, that's the way you're going to glow in paradise. But now, look for the little blessings. Look for the little graces. Look for the little I love yous. Because if you don't look for those things, the darkness will beat you. You're not going to be strong enough. But if you look for them, you see them, you give thanks for them, then you'll have it. You'll have the energy you need to endure, to get through to the end. Because ultimately, all of us, our destiny, the thing God made us to be, is to be with him. And what Peter, James, and John saw on that day, that's the destiny of all of us.